Hello everyone, welcome to Retro Odyssey episode 2. This week our Odyssey's taken us through the seedy back streets of the beat-em-up genre. I'm your host, Adam Miller, and I'm joined by my co-hosts, Matt, Stephen and Ryan. So hello everyone, how have you been?
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
You had a good month?
Yeah, I'll say.
It's been pretty solid.
You been doing much gaming or busy with other stuff?
Did quite a bit of gaming, but I also had a vacation in there, so.
Nice one.
I got sucked back into World of Warcraft, so that's taken up a lot of my time.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's quite a time sink.
I've been spending most of my extra time playing the new Rare IP, Sea of Thieves.
Oh yeah, how is that?
I have a lot of complaints about the game, but I keep playing it. And they're also promising a lot of new content, so I have my hopes up.
Yeah, I'm quite interested in it. I might pick up on PC at some point, but I'm not really big on online gaming anymore, so we'll just have to see. But I do like Rareware, so that could be an option to grab in the future. Okay, well, I think best off getting cracking. Who wants to start? Matt, do you want to start with your title first?
Okay, can do.
Okay, nice one. Well, we'll have a quick musical interlude and get started with our first game.
My choice this month is Golden Axe, which is, as I'm sure most people know, a side-scrolling beat-em-up. It is a fantasy game where you play as one of 3 characters and you have to rescue the king and his daughter from the evil Death Adder. It's a game that I had on the Mega Drive when I was a kid. I had 3 games when I first picked up a Mega Drive. This, Altered Beast and Sonic the Hedgehog. I played all 3, but I really didn't like Golden Axe at all. I just couldn't get into it. But Altered Beast and Sonic the Hedgehog I played a shitload of. Loved both of them. Now, as I've gotten older and gone back to these games, quite a weird thing happened in that I went back to Altered Beast and I just could not get on with it at all. I just really disliked the game. I like the concept behind it, but didn't really like the game. And I went back to Golden Axe and found actually this game's pretty good. So my opinion completely flipped on that one. I don't know if that's just me getting older or my taste changing. I'm not entirely sure. But it's a fairly short game. You can complete it in under an hour. And as I said, you can pick one of 3 characters. You've got a warrior. Analog is called Axe Battler. You have a kind of mage, a battle mage character called Tyrus Flare. And you have a dwarf with an axe called Gilius Thunderhead. So what did you guys think of the game?
Well, first of all, who did you actually play as, out of interest?
I played as Tyrus.
Yeah, me too.
I gave each of them a try, just to see, the various differences.
Same. I also played the game all the way through 3 times with each character. Well, 1 time with each character to get the full experience.
For some reason, I never really get on with Axe Battler. I find him quite boring to play as. So I normally default to Tyrus or occasionally Gilius. But to be honest, in terms of moveset, I find that Tyrus is the most interesting and kind of the best.
Is that because she's got like really powerful magic attacks as well as the melee attacks?
Well, I actually find her melee attacks better than her magic attacks, although the magic is quite cool.
It's pretty easy to spam her flying kick on everything.
Yeah. The only enemies I've found that that didn't work as well on is the guys with the really big swords. Because they just cut me down while I was doing flying kick, but I just pretty much went through the entire game just flying kicking everything.
Well, she's actually got a good move as well, which is kind of like, if you've ever played DuckTales, she can do like a pogo stick kind of move with a sword.
Yeah.
And that works really well on the big guys.
It doesn't work well on the little ones, though, because
they just move.
It's hard to gauge where you're going to land.
Yeah.
I found that the dwarf was by far the most broken character when it came to his melee because his I guess it would be his parry attack where you spin around and attack behind you.
Yeah, he does like a little roll, doesn't
He
he?
does a little roll and thrusts his axe really, really far out. It has stupid reach.
You see, I always have difficulty trying to gauge that and always miss.
I ended up spamming that for most of the game on my playthrough with him, and yeah, it was a little broken. I had fun, but it was a little broken.
Yeah, I think playing as all of them, is kind of fun, to be honest. It's a pretty good game. The AI is completely dreadful, though. I find that most of the time I could take care of enemies by letting them kill themselves. So usually they do like a running leap and jump off the edge of the stage, or they just walk off a pit into nothingness just because of where I've stood.
There's a few levels that you can just fly and kick them off the edge as well.
But that just adds to the fun when you think about it. Maybe not them walking off, but throwing them off into bottomless pits is always a good time.
And the environments are quite interesting as well. I mean, it starts off just like regular fantasy villages, but then later on you're like on the back of flying animals, and there are these towns just on the back of like eagles and stuff.
Yeah, in one of the monologue sections in between, it's just like, oh, it turns out that this town that we just walked through was actually an eagle.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you not notice
How did you
that?
not realise?
I actually thought like the environments in the game, it was actually a very pretty game.
Yeah, definitely.
They definitely put a lot of work because like the sprites themselves were kind of meh at best, but the backdrop and the stage design was actually very nice.
Yeah, the art direction is really good. From the design of the monsters to the design of the worlds and the characters, it's all pretty well done.
You can tell in Golden Axe 2, which I also spun around and played, because I thought I'd played Golden Axe years before, but it turns out I'd played Golden Axe 2. So since I had access to that, I played that too. You can tell in Golden Axe 2 that they upped the sprite detail and then down the backdrop, because they were still obviously on the same platform.
Mm-hmm.
So they balanced it out just a little bit better, so you got some prettier enemies and fighters.
Yeah.
I've
One
not
thing
actually
that-
played Golden Axe 2.
It's okay.
It's hard to say if it's better than the first Golden Axe. I would say at least it's on par.
A lot of people don't like Golden Axe 2 and Golden Axe 3, but I think they're fine. I mean, Golden Axe 2 I think is better than 3, but I still like all three of them, to be honest.
I was trying to figure out where they got the name of the game. I think it was because Death Adder just has a giant axe.
Yeah, he's stolen this axe called the Golden Axe.
Oh, okay, I missed that part of the story.
Yeah, I think that in the arcade version, the axe is golden. Although, correct me if I'm wrong, but the axe is silver in this, and they messed it up on the console, or was that in Golden Axe 2?
I think that was.
I don't
I think that
remember
was
it being.
Golden Axe 2.
Yeah, I seem to remember that in the console versions, they messed up the colour of the axe and the whole point of the game. But I think the axe that Gilius holds is supposed to be the golden axe. And it was actually gold in the arcades, but in the console it wasn't.
No, Gilius Thunderhead, he in Golden Axe 1 and 2, the axe he wields is golden.
Is it?
Yeah.
Maybe it's the third one. I remember that one of the games, at least, they messed it up.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, I could just be completely wrong.
I mean, on the cover art, his axe is actually silver.
Oh, okay, maybe that's where it is then.
Yeah, possibly.
Mm.
But it's a bit of a weird mythology. I don't know whether these animals with cities on their back, I don't know whether they're quite close to the sun or something. Because one thing that always puzzled me is the choice of clothing that the main characters wear. They don't seem to be wearing proper clothing. Like, Axe Battler's just wearing a thong, and then Tyrus is wearing a bikini, so it must be pretty hot not to wear, like, proper armor.
Well, I mean, Gilius is sitting there and he's wearing a tunic, so...
I mean, he's
Yeah.
a dwarf, so I suppose he's a little bit further down, so he's a bit further away from the sun, perhaps? I'm not quite sure.
I mean, like, welcome to 80s fantasy. They were
Yeah,
all kind of
basically.
like,
Right.
had no clothes on.
Yeah. But it's a pretty good time. I really enjoyed it. Even though the enemies are quite dumb and they just home in on your position, I kind of like the design of most of the enemies, particularly the rideable creatures.
Yeah.
Like you
Oh, yeah.
start off with this, I don't even know what it is. Is it some kind of bird? You know, the first thing you meet and it's that
Oh,
pink thing?
The weird
Yeah.
thing where it doesn't breathe, it just kind of whips its tail around.
Yeah, what is that?
I think it's supposed to be like a griffin-ish type creature.
Possibly. Maybe like a baby griffin or something, but
Something.
it's just a weird thing. I never really understood what it is.
Looks like it's supposed to be a cockatrice.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, that rings a bell, actually.
I'm looking in the manual now. They are just called Bizarrians. That is all the manual actually refers them to. It doesn't give specific names for each of the three. I mean, two of them are clearly dragons.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, what I'm seeing here says the least powerful steed is known as the cockatrice, which can be used to knock down enemies with a swipe of its tail. So I think that's the one.
And I've actually done a quick Google image search on cockatrice, and yeah, that's what it is.
Okay.
Uh,
It's essentially a dragon rooster, so...
Yeah.
For me, though, I think is it the blue dragon, the one that breathes fire in front of it? That was always my favourite.
You get a bit better range on it.
Yeah, I find that with the pink dragon, the one that throws fireballs, I find it difficult to judge where to fire them and just mess up.
Well, that's part of the odd enemy AI and how it'll just sort of stutter up and down the screen with no rhyme or reason.
And they get really aggressive with the rideable animals as well. Like, as soon as there's one of those, they just go straight for you and knock you off it.
They do, it is a little bit irritating, the way that you can get knocked off the steed in one hit,
Yeah,
and then they instantly mount it and just go to town on you.
yeah.
I really do feel like Golden Axe was designed around you should be playing with no less than 2 people, just because the enemies will start mobbing you something fierce.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the other issues I have. When the enemies start hitting you, they seem to put you into an unbreakable combo. So they start hitting you, and there's nothing you can do to break out of it. You just sat there until they finish with you, basically.
Yeah. I did find, speaking of getting just locked into combos, I did not understand the health system.
What do you mean?
Visually, it doesn't make any sense because, like, if you look at various other games, like Streets of Rage and stuff like that, you'll have, like, multiple bars of health, or you'll actually have a almost standard arcade fighter style health bar that'll shrink down as you take damage. In this one, you just had, like, 2 big blocks that seem to get eaten up after an arbitrary amount of damage.
Yeah, I think it's just one of those games where you just beat them up until they're dead.
Yeah, so it's like when you're taking it, you go, oh, I have 2 blocks of health right now. I don't know when one of them's going to get eaten up. It could be one big hit, or it could be 30 tiny hits.
Yeah. Speaking of health as well, what do you think of the mechanic that Golden Axe uses with the little imp creatures that dispense magic and health?
I love them.
Just beating the hell out of them around the campfire.
And the animation's great as well, because you just give them a little kick most of the time.
Yeah.
You'll swipe them with your sword, and then you'll just boot one up the axe.
I rather enjoyed those little in-between segments.
Yeah.
There's quite a lot of strategy to it as well. It's like you can get like a lot of magic pots from them, and while you're going through levels, it's kind of like you could probably clear the screen with the amount of magic that you've got, or do you wait a little bit longer, completely fill up your magic bar? I mean, with Tyrus, if you completely fill up your magic bar and then use your magic, this massive dragon comes down and just blows up everything on the screen.
Yeah.
And it's like just so cool. But you know, if you're having trouble with some of the regular enemies, if you're getting mobbed quite a bit, you can use a slightly lesser magical attack, but you will lose out on a chance to use a really big one later on.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I always just stockpiled all the magic and just used them at the end of the stage on the boss.
That's what I ended up doing. later on, especially with one of my playthrough with Gilius, because he has such a tiny magic bar.
Yeah.
So it's really, you can actually fill his up. You can like fill it up on the mini game, then use it partway through the stage, and then fill it up again and use it on the boss.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair point.
But yeah, with like Tyrus, there's no way. It's like 10.
Yeah, she does
Stars or
take like a
something like
lot of
that.
magic.
It's
Yeah.
massive.
But what did you think of the bosses in the game?
Anticlimactic. It was, I was rather, I mean, they could be pretty brutal, but it was just like, here's the boss, end scene.
Yeah, I mean, to me, they all just seemed like, here's a big guy, fight
Yeah.
him. Like, there's a big guy, and then there's a big knight guy, and another big knight guy.
Yeah.
And then there's Death Adder, who's just a big knight guy.
Yeah.
I kind of think the weakest part of the game, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the fact that you could still cheese them with the flying kick just kind of made them just kind of like health pools that you just had to chip down.
Yeah, and they did have a lot of health.
Yes.
A lot of health, holy crap.
That's why I always save my magic till that point, just to take as much of it off as possible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But all in all, I quite enjoyed Golden Axe.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, no game goes without criticism, but I played through it 3 times and then played through Golden Axe 2 twice, so the games must be pretty solid if I just invest 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean, the game is, well renowned for a reason. Like there is good to it.
Yeah.
When you look at the scores, it's all 90%, 91%. There's a couple of 70s in here, but by and large, it's very well received.
I think the difficulty as well is kind of just right. I mean, obviously it's a lot better with at least 2 people, but even when you're playing alone, it doesn't seem brutally difficult. But at the same time, it's not really easy. It
Right.
seems like they got just the right level for you to play through and enjoy it with a deal of challenge.
I would say if you're playing as one player, you do kind of need the extra credits cheat. At least I did.
Yeah, later on.
See, the version I played, it was the Genesis version, but it also just had, I think it was just select fed you credits.
Well, it was originally an
And
arcade game, wasn't it?
maxed out.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that explains why it's just a credit eater. Throwing credits and you can get to the end.
Yeah.
In terms of pricing, if you want to buy Golden Axe on its own, you're probably looking at between £15 to £30. But the best way to pick it up really is to buy Mega Games 2, which has Golden Axe, Revenge of Shinobi, and one other game that I forget on the same cartridge, which tends to go for less than £10. So that
Yeah,
is
it's
the best
Streets of
option.
Rage that comes with it.
Oh, Streets of Rage, yeah. Or
Yeah.
it is also available on Steam through the Mega Drive Genesis collection.
Yeah. Or on the console collections or...
Yeah,
Yes.
the Ultimate Genesis Collection on PS3, the Genesis Collection on PS2. I actually have it on PSP through the Genesis Collection.
There is an Xbox, I believe it is only Xbox Arcade. I don't think they came out with a physical edition for this, but it's just the Golden Axe collection,
Yeah.
Golden Axe 1 through 3, for Xbox 360, which is actually also currently on the Xbox Game Pass for anybody who has that. So,
Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah, I don't think it's
Xbox Game
an
Pass, you
expensive
can
game.
download it.
yeah, I mean, most things I'm seeing, you can get some version of this game for less than $10 over here. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, nice one. Well, Stephen, do you want to go next?
yeah, I can go next.
Okay, we'll have a quick musical break and then we'll discuss your pick.
My choice for this one was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers on the Super Nintendo, which was actually important this time because it was vastly different on the other systems. This is really the console beat 'em up I ended up playing the most as a kid, mostly because of how much I love the show and the fact that I didn't play a lot of beat 'em ups. So, I mean, it's I'll be the first to admit it's not the greatest, but I think it's a serviceable beat 'em up.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's basically you have I think 5 stages of Rangers and then 2 stages of Megazord battles.
Yeah, that's right.
And then there's also you can do codes to do Megazord battles 2-player.
All right, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go back and do that then because I was unaware.
Yeah, I mean, I've got the codes. I can give them to you. But yeah, there's you can put in a code and you have a two-person Megazord battle to basically just fight against each other.
Do you both play as Megazords, or does one of you play as the monster?
One of you play as the monster from the... it's basically just the monster fights from the story, but with 2 players instead of a player and an AI.
That's really cool.
That's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, it's, fairly standard, side-scrolling, just beat up everything you see. Because of the source material, a lot of the basic enemies look, almost identical aside from color.
Yeah. And they even acted very similar as well.
Yeah, and, even looking at the source material, these have knives, which what they're based on never did.
I think they were just trying to mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, just trying to give, some kind of variation.
One thing that kind of threw me off about the game as well is that I went into it thinking it would be, I don't know what you'd call it. It's a 2D beat 'em up, but it's not like, say, Golden Axe where you can walk up and down. You can only move
like
left
a
and right.
2.5D, like 2.5D setup.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was kind of expecting to be able to move out of the way of some attacks, but it just wasn't possible. So that took a bit of getting used to.
That caught me off guard too, but I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, it keeps things straightforward.
Yeah, and I mean, this is, this was part of, Haim Saban's scheme to just make boatloads of money with, minimal effort. So, they weren't looking to knock this out of the park. They just wanted to put something out there people would buy. Taken from that perspective, the fact that we got something pretty decent is kind of nice.
Yeah, I would say they're putting a fair amount of effort.
Well, but that, most of the effort was done by somebody else aside from the people in charge of the show. Like they shopped it out to Bandai for the Nintendo version, and then Sega handled their console versions.
Yeah, which was not a beat 'em up, a fighting game from what I remember.
Yeah, it was just a one-on-one fighter.
Yeah. The one thing that I particularly liked about this game is, well, when you first start up, you're greeted to the 5 Power Rangers,
yes,
and they're all doing like a little dance. But after each stage, you can choose a different Power Ranger.
Yeah.
And because there's 5 stages, you can play as all the Power Rangers in one playthrough, which I thought was a neat little touch.
Yeah, and I like the differences between them. Like, Zack does his little dances when he's idle. There's it actually does do a good job of translating the difference in fighting style, because Kimberly and Billy are more gymnastic based, whereas Jason is more straight up martial arts.
Yeah, like I found that the Black Ranger was quite cool because you do fighting combos and then he just jump on his back and do a little break dance kind of.
Yeah.
Kick.
I did feel they translated the characters into the game pretty well, which is very impressive on a 16-bit console like the N64, the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
Where you can bring a character to life in a sprite like that.
Yeah.
And you kind of know how they move. You're saying like just the idle animations and all that. But speaking of animation, real quick, can we talk about Billy's non-morphed walk animation?
Oh, yeah.
Which one was
Billy?
Billy?
I know he was supposed to be kind of the nerdy tech guy.
Billy was he Blue Ranger?
Blue.
Okay. Yeah, the Blue Ranger.
Oh, yeah, I remember his walk, actually, yeah.
Yeah, his pants must have been like pulled up past his nipples for him to walk like that. I don't know.
Yeah, his dungarees were awesome.
Yeah, the overalls.
I got a good giggle out of that, which is actually funny because he ended up being my favorite ranger in the game. So,
Well, I quite like the Black Ranger and the Yellow Ranger. I thought was pretty cool.
I didn't really have a preference. I just switched between them at random, to be honest.
Yeah, I think the Red Ranger was probably my least favourite, but I thought all of them were kind of good in their own way.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, you can get through the game with any of them.
Yeah. Apart from the first section of each level, where you have to fight as the human form.
yeah,
That's a bit rough.
Yeah.
Is there a law reason for that? Why they can't just be Power Rangers straight away?
Well, in the original incarnation of the show, they did a lot of unmorphed fights because, I mean, the actors for the Blue and the Pink Ranger were gymnastics. Like they weren't like stars or anything, but they were well versed in gymnastics. The Red and Yellow Rangers were martial artists. The Black Ranger was a dancer and martial artist. So they highlighted all of that in the show, and then when they'd morph, they'd have obviously the Japanese footage.
Mm-hmm.
But so this was just like translating that to where they'd have the unmorphed fight. And then, I mean, if you really get into it, the whole, one of the things they're told in the beginning is never escalate a battle unless you're forced to, which I guess you could say is why they don't morph immediately, because they don't need to until they see the big monster.
Yeah.
And it was kind of nice too, as well, that because when the Power Rangers morph, they're supposed to get like 10 times stronger or something like that. They become genuine superheroes at that point.
Yes.
Yeah, you do feel the transition because you get like all your health back.
I thought it was very nice that they gave you all your health back and you started kicking way more ass. They threw harder enemies at you, but like the regular mobs were just one hits at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the Power Rangers tune plays as soon as you morph. It's
that was really
pretty cool.
I want to know how much space, because in the beginning on the splash screen where it's running, Saban's Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, there's actually some pretty crisp audio for the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, it's pretty.
So maybe sometime I'll go and find some information that was data mined and just see how much of the cartridge that audio took up.
Yeah, because I mean, this was 1994, so they still had a few years left in the SNES lifespan.
Yeah.
Really? So it was quite an early SNES title?
Yeah.
All right. I didn't think it would be, to be honest, because
It doesn't
as you
show.
say, like the audio is really good, and it even looks really good too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it plays well. But there are some very, very, very silly design choices, I think, in the game. The fact that you get put to the start of the level if you die.
Yeah.
I don't see why they give you 2 lives per continue, because losing a life and losing a continue is exactly the same punishment.
Yeah. I thought that was it was just frustrating when you get sent all the way back.
Especially on the later stages. Like stages 3, 4, and 5 are just...
Yeah.
Even stage 2, when you're doing all of the platforming, I found stage 2 to be the most frustrating one. You're doing all that crazy platform past the objects that you can't destroy, like all the saws and shit like that.
Mm.
You can destroy them.
You can, yeah.
You can just look
Yeah,
down
you
and...
destroy most of them.
Yeah.
And then the thing that got me originally with that was not knowing I could wall jump the first time I played it.
Right.
So you get to that one point where you can't get up without it.
Yeah, it's just a little bit too high, isn't it? That took me a while.
Yeah, and as, being, 5 or 6 the first time I played it, I didn't get past that point.
Yeah, I mean, it could have done a better job in showing that off, but I think it's one of those things that now it's a little bit easier with experience in these kind of games, thinking maybe I can jump off this wall.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's definitely part of it.
Yeah, I definitely think the stage designs are a bit iffy. Like stage 3 in the water was probably my least favourite level.
Yeah, that was
just because
not...
there's a lot of swimming and you can't do anything.
Yeah, it was strange that they can fight you in the water, but you can't fight them.
Yeah, I found that really, really annoying.
But stage 3 was nowhere near as bad as stage 5. That killed me. That killed my thumbs.
I didn't find stage 5 too bad. I thought there was some parts in it that were a bit annoying, but I had a rougher time with stage 3 and stage 4 just because I wasn't a pro of the game by that point. But at stage 5, I was kind of familiar with how to deal with all the bullshit, so I had an easier time.
I think the main thing that really messed me up in stage 5 is that thing that goes across the top of the screen and shoots like a load of missiles. And I could not avoid them whatsoever. So it ended up with me getting to the boss with not a huge amount of health.
And then dying and having to go back.
It is a really, really difficult boss. And I found it very frustrating.
I didn't find the boss was that difficult. The big problem is that he has a lot of health. So it didn't take me long to learn his pattern, but all it takes is just for like one shot from him to whittle down your health. Yeah. And he does a lot of whittling down.
I couldn't work out his pattern at all. He just seemed to do them at random for me.
Yeah, I say I didn't find him to be too bad, the ninja dude. To be honest, I actually thought the bosses in the game were probably the strongest part. Like, the first one in particular I found to be very fun. The skeleton dude with the club.
Yeah.
I enjoyed
because
that.
you beat him up and then he just loses body parts.
It was humorous, for sure. I found that all the bosses kind of fell prey to, they have set attacks, but they don't have set patterns or cues.
Yeah.
You just have to get that split second of animation as it's, starting to, like when this, in the first level, he does 2 attacks. Yeah. Where he does like the little jab and shoots the little beam. And there's not really any time to react. You just kind of have to understand how frequently he attacks and make sure that there's enough space between you and him so you can react appropriately.
Yeah.
Same with the rest of them, where you just kind of had to know, you didn't know what attack was going to happen. You just kind of had to know generally when it was going to happen.
Yeah.
Because in a lot of other games, the bosses actually have, if you're right in their face, they'll start beating the hell out of you after a couple moments. But when you're away, they usually have some sort of signature special attack. And they have a wind-up for it so you know when to move. Like if they do like a flying body press, you know you need to move. But you have plenty of time to see it happening and get out of the way. Yeah. And that was not the case here.
But I still thought it was pretty good. I had a lot of fun with the bosses, even like on the stages I didn't like stage 3, for example. Stage 3, I hated the level, but I love the boss. That weird kind of thing that's made of eyes or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, that was quite a fun boss.
Yeah. I actually think that, you compare the bosses of this game to Golden Axe, and they do like a lot more with the bosses, and they're a lot more interesting and a lot more fun to learn.
And I think that, part of that is from having a lot to work with from what they could do in the show.
Yeah.
And also, maybe they took some of the level design people and put them on the bosses instead.
Yeah. One thing that I found as well that was kind of weird is that the stages started getting harder quite quick. And then the final 2 stages in the Megazord are actually pretty straightforward. Yeah. Because you can sort of just stun-lock the bosses with a sword thrust and just take down the health like in no time.
Yeah.
Like, stage 6 is really easy. And stage 7's a bit more difficult, but not too bad.
I mean, it's mostly more difficult because it gets all its health back for the second form.
Yeah, exactly.
I had quite a lot of difficulty with both of them, to be honest. Stage 6 wasn't that bad, as you say, but I was not able to kill the boss at stage 7. I just couldn't do it. I must have attempted it for about half an hour until my thumbs were hurting, and I just thought, I cannot do this.
Yeah. Well, I think, as I say, it's just knowing the attacks. As I say, that sword thrust seemed to work quite well to me because you lunge forward, knock it, it gets stunned for a moment, and you just do it again. I can imagine if you're just using normal attacks, it'd be pretty hard going.
Yeah, but I mean, in terms of tracking down a copy of this game. I mean, I'm seeing anywhere from $20 to $30 normally.
Really?
So it's not too bad.
And it's slightly cheaper though.
Yeah.
I paid $14 for mine from an American seller.
Was it just a cart, or did you get it in box?
Just a cart.
All right.
Yeah. So I mean,
That's not too bad, but
yeah, and there's there's other places you can find it. But yeah, I'm seeing about $20 is the average of what I'm seeing.
yeah. All right, fair enough.
I wouldn't say that's too terrible.
No.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a very expensive price, but it's probably more than I'd want to pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main thing driving the price up now is the age.
Yeah.
Quite possibly.
Okay, well, we'll take a quick break and then we'll have a look at Ryan's pick next.
My pick for this category was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time. It was an arcade game. I don't know if anybody played the arcade version for their sample, but my experience was always on the Super Nintendo. It's pretty highly renowned as one of the best TMNT brawlers, and there's been quite a few of them. There was the original TMNT, TMNT Manhattan Projects, Turtles in Time. One came out on the Saturn, or not the Saturn, the Genesis. It was like
Hyperstone Heist, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hyperstone Heist, which was actually very similar to Turtles in Time in gameplay. But it's actually funny because I never owned Turtles in Time as a kid, but we borrowed it frequently from a friend.
Yeah.
And I do recall getting all the way to the end of it. It was actually funny when I was playing it for this. I was having a lot of trouble, but I recall beating it as a kid at 6 years old with my brother. But there's just so many things that this game did right for brawlers. It wasn't perfect, but it did a lot of things correct.
Am I
Yeah,
right in
absolutely.
thinking it was Konami who did this game?
Yes.
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 I think Konami actually handled all of the TMNT games. I think they still have the rights to them.
Mhm.
Yeah. They did a remake of this a while back, didn't they?
Yeah,
it was
2009 looks like.
Oh God, it was that long ago? I thought it was
Yeah.
sooner than that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought it was a lot sooner.
Turtles in Time reshelled.
That wasn't great. There was something off about the remake.
Yeah, I remember playing a bit of Reshelled with a friend once. I think we played through maybe the first stage and maybe a bit of the second, but I didn't think much of it at the time.
Reshelled wasn't one of the better renditions. Really, none of the newer Turtles games have been that great because they've had like Out of the Shadows, and then there was another one recently too. They're brawlers, but they're not like anything fantastic. You have to go back to the classic beat 'em ups
Yeah.
to really get the true experience.
I think that's the case with a lot of beat 'em ups anyway. I think a lot of the newer ones are a bit kind of iffy. I mean, there's stuff like Scott Pilgrim that did it well, but normally most of the best brawlers are the old ones.
There's one on I think it's on Xbox and PlayStation 3. Charlie Murder's a lot of fun, but that's one of the
Oh,
few
yeah.
of a modern brawler that's actually good. Like, yeah, most of them don't stack up to Golden Axe and
Streets of Rage and things like that.
Streets of Rage Final Fight.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I feel that Turtles in Time is a solid example. I very much enjoy the art style of the game, personally.
When did it come out?
1992 looks like.
So was that an early SNES title?
That was
Yeah.
way early.
Yeah, because the SNES was released in
Really?
1990 or 91.
Yeah.
That really surprises me because not only does it look great, but it's got some cracking audio. It's got like a lot of voice samples and they're done really well.
Yeah, I mean,
Really
I
good.
thought this one was fantastic.
Yeah.
I can't really comment on the SNES version because I played the arcade version, but from what I understand, they are fairly similar graphically.
Yeah.
The arcade version's a little bit cleaner, but and brighter. It's a little bit cleaner, a little bit brighter, but overall, I mean, they're pretty much the same. The biggest difference between the two is that the arcade version supports 4 people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the other difference is that some of the things were added to the SNES, like the Technodrome and new enemies.
Yeah, I heard that they changed the surfing level a bit, and yeah, the Technodrome isn't in the arcade version.
Yeah.
That's an interesting level.
I did find it weird that even though the multi-tap was a thing, the Turtles in Time didn't support the multi-tap.
Right.
Maybe it was more of a performance thing. Maybe with 4 people.
I was actually thinking about that, and that's all I can come up with is that it got sluggish with too many turtles because it wasn't, it wasn't an entire arcade box.
Right.
Yeah, it does seem like the game's pushing the SNES to its limits, so that could very well be the reason.
What did you all think about some of the inconsistencies and difficulty in the game? Because it does fail there pretty hard.
I think it's a little bit too difficult. The first 3 stages are a walk in the park. You can do them pretty much blindfolded without any kind of resistance. And then stage 4, it just gets ridiculous.
Yeah, you hit the Technodrome and all of a sudden you're getting, wailed on.
Yeah, those robots as well. Those tiny little robots that fire like the laser whip things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those gave me a real hard time.
Without having played the Technodrome level on the arcade version, I found the only level that I found really, really difficult was level 3, which is the sewer level. Because there are mines on the floor, which are really, really difficult to avoid. There are vines or something coming down from the ceiling, which again are really difficult to avoid. And weird yellow monsters jumping all over the place that are also really difficult to avoid.
So there's a fun story behind those monsters, and it's actually funny. I was playing when I was playing this a while back. I used to have on VHS as a wee child the episode of TMNT where they introduced the yellow monsters. They put them on pizzas, and then the heat of the pizza hatches the egg, and then the monster eats the pizza, and it grows up because it needs the food, and then they're fighting the turtles.
What?
And they look suspiciously like the xenomorphs from Alien.
That's what I thought. I just thought they were yellow xenomorphs.
That's basically all they are. But when I saw those in the game, I'm like, wait a minute, I remember all this. But there was only 3 of them. There's 20 here.
Yeah, on the SNES version, the surfing bit, you just take out enemies, and then there's a bit with mines on the floor, which isn't too difficult because there are only a handful of rows.
Yeah.
And then you've got the pizza monsters, but to be honest, there are only a few of them, and then it's the boss.
Yeah, I mean, they made it easier in the SNES version and then made it a bonus stage.
Yeah, because there were 2 riding bonus stages. There was this one, which was easy, and there was one later on where you're on a hoverboard or something, which I thought was even easier.
Essentially the hoverboards from Back to the Future.
Yeah. That was a really weird level because it was just so easy. Even the boss, I don't know if it was a glitch or something, but I was at the top of the screen and he couldn't hit me. I could hit him, but he wasn't, hitting me with any attacks.
I'll have to go back and try that.
Yeah, I was literally just at the top of the screen, and even though I wasn't in line with him, I was still landing attacks, and all his attacks were missing.
Sounds excessively convenient. I'm going to go try that later.
I guess the reason that the arcade version is harder is just because they want more money off you, really.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
I ended up needing 25 credits to get through the game, which at 50p a go back in the arcades, back when it was popular, that would have been £12.50 to finish the one game.
Yeah, damn. Well, I know you played the arcade version, so you won't be able to comment on this, but I really want to talk about that Stage 4 boss. It's a bit of a pain, but I really like the idea. because when you're fighting enemies, there's a move where when you're close to them, you throw them towards the screen and they basically splat against the screen. And this boss, that's the only way you can take him down. So it's Shredder in a machine trying to shoot.
Yeah, he has like little grabby claws that reach out and snatch you up.
Yeah, and you've got to throw these ninjas towards the screen at him. I thought it was a really neat idea. I had a lot of difficulty with him, but it was cool.
It's just a shame that the grab in Turtles in Time is a little iffy. There's like 2 specific grabs for 2 specific throws, but they're a little bit iffy because it's not like most other games where you can just throw enemies around the screen. They have to be. It seems like they have to be within.
It's part of a combo.
Yeah, they have to be, or they have to be within a kill. They have to be in kill range.
Yeah.
So
honestly, I find some of the controls to be a bit iffy in general with the game. Like you say, the throw is a bit dodgy, particularly for that one boss. But I also don't like the running mechanic because you walk and then after maybe a second or so, you start doing a little run. Mm-hmm. And I found that really weird.
Yeah, whereas other places it's double tap and then you'll start sprinting.
Right.
Yeah, the arcade is double tap, I'm pretty sure it was.
So
does that work in the console version? The double tap?
I believe so.
Maybe I just didn't try.
You may have to double tap really fast because I recall also having really iffy. Having issues with the run as well the last time I played it. So maybe I wasn't tapping fast enough.
It doesn't make it unplayable or anything, but I find that it's something I had to overcome in order to enjoy the game rather than just being able to play it and it feeling a bit more natural, like in Golden Axe or Streets of Rage, for example.
Right.
I mean, I will say I did enjoy the variety of attacks because, I mean, you've got the back attack, you've got the running attack, you've got the, the various jump attacks. Yeah. Like, there was a lot you could do with, a stick and 4 buttons.
You actually have because you have your attack, your special heavy, jump, and one of the buttons doesn't always come into play when you are, like, I think on the SNES, X doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Unless if you get into a run animation, you can press X and you'll do a handspring.
Okay.
Yeah, during the handspring, you can press light attack and you'll go and do, it's either light attack or heavy attack. Now I'm trying to remember. It might be heavy attack, and you'll go into a essentially turtle bowling, and you'll flip onto your back and go slamming through a bunch of enemies.
Huh.
Yeah.
And it's one of those weird attacks that you really need a manual to know about, because the chances of you figuring that, because you mash X a few times and nothing happens, you never return to it.
Yeah. You're just going to stop hitting it.
Are there any differences with the turtles in terms of movesets, or is it just stuff like health and damage and defense and stuff that alters?
They have mildly different stats, and there's a little bit of range. Like Donatello has the best range with his staff.
Big stick. Yeah.
He has the best range. I want to say Raph actually does the most damage, and that's kind of been a staple of all of the Turtles games is he has the least range, but he hits a lot harder.
Yeah. Let me see. Because I think I remember hearing something about Raph does more damage, but he also takes more damage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's perfectly fitting with the character.
Yeah, Leonardo's always been middle of the road. He's always been the average character, average reach, average damage. Which is weird because he should be doing the most. He has fucking swords.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leonardo's the one that I played through the game with.
I was Donatello.
I always go with Donatello. I don't know why, I just always do.
Yeah, I hadn't played this before, so I hopped around to see what each of them was like.
What was with that story as well? That was one of the things that I thought was a bit strange with the game. You get into the 4th level on the Technodrome, and then Shredder's just like, I know, I'll throw you back in time for reasons. And then gradually you just progress forward in time until you're back to the starting point.
Yeah.
It's a really... I honestly think this was based very heavily off the old cartoon, because the cartoon didn't make a lot of sense either.
Well, no.
Did the
And
game
there was
come out before the second movie, which third movie, which sent them back in time?
No. It came out before that, yes.
I don't know. I didn't really follow the cartoon, to be honest. I ended up seeing like a few random episodes as a child, but never really got into it.
No, there was a lot of weird stuff like yellow xenomorphs that hatch on pizza, and Shredder actually did have a time machine where he caused havoc and just like, oh yeah, well I'm just going to go jump back in time or just jump dimensions.
Okay,
So I can beat the turtles, not take over the world, just beat the turtles. You know, you have
Classic cartoon villain.
you have a god level machine and you're using it to fight someone.
Okay, so the arcade version of this was released in 1991, the console version in 92. Ninja Turtles 3, where they went back in time, the movie was 1993. So probably
idea from this.
Yeah, it probably started its development right after that arcade game was released.
That sounds about right.
What did you guys think of the bosses in the game? I thought they were a very mixed bag. I liked some of them, but then others I found were a bit annoying.
I would have put the bosses as one of the more annoying parts and the levels as the solid part of the game, because the bosses had their attack patterns were predictable, but that didn't mean avoidable.
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes you go, oh, he's going to do this and I'm going to get hit, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
I got completely wrecked by Bebop and Rocksteady. I got completely wrecked by Shredder as well. But the most annoying boss I found, at least in the arcade version, Krang is in this small spaceship thing, and he throws bubbles at you. And I just kept getting hit by every single bubble, and it just like floats you up in the air. And I hated that boss.
You see, I didn't get hit by him like very much, but I just found him really difficult to land hits on. So I was jumping about like an idiot trying to land hits on him, and I just always miss.
And that's kind of all you can do against Krang is just flying kicks all day long, and
it doesn't really deal that much damage either.
It doesn't. He's a damage sponge.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, the final boss, I don't know whether it's the console version, but I found Shredder to be a bit of a pushover. He just kept doing this one attack where he flung flames against the floor, and then after he did that, I would just walk up to his level, punch him for a bit, and then it would repeat. I think he used like some kind of Hadouken attack once, but most of the time he just flung fire against the floor, and I just kind of walked it.
Yeah, that's it's actually very reminiscent of the Battletoads final boss, the Dark Queen. She'll kind of float around and spin with like a kind of a cyclone thing, and then I think she has an attack where she throws something at you, but all you have to do is wait for her to stop and throw something, and you can just do infinite headbutts, and she dies immediately. And the final boss, you're just sitting there going, that was a little underwhelming.
Yeah. I think the only boss I enjoyed was the one on the train level, which was the crocodile dude. I found that quite fun.
What was his name? Is it Cayman Jack?
Yeah, it could be. Sounds familiar.
Was he the one with the gun?
I think so. He would fire shots at you, and then he'd scuttle across the floor to the other side.
Yeah.
Might not be Cayman Jack. I'm trying to figure out.
I don't know. It sounds like a cowboy kind of name, so it's possible.
Mm-hmm.
I actually thought that train level was pretty good. Like a lot of the Foot Clan soldiers would be wearing like cowboy outfits, and they just rip them off before they start fighting you.
Oh yeah,
which was like a neat little touch.
Yeah, no, the train level, I don't know why, but the music in the game was good. That track was really good, and I think I liked the stage the best because it felt the most unique going to the train cars and across the train.
Yeah.
But as Adam, you pointed out previous that you really liked the pirate ship as well.
Yeah, the pirate ship was cool. I didn't like Bebop and Rocksteady, but I like the pirate ship theme, and I like the little planks in the floor as well, where if you step on a certain point, it'll come up and just hit you in the face.
Mm-hmm.
I managed to get hit by every single one of them.
I think I just got hit once. But I think the hardest point in the game for me, like the big spike, was, is it the stage 5 boss? The one that looks like one of the turtles?
Yeah, that's
And
the Mecha Turtle.
could be. He looks like an evil version of a turtle, and he's got a massive sword. And he was really rough to beat.
I think that's Chrome Dome. No, Chrome Dome's the Shredder-looking one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Quickly Google it.
Yeah, overall, what do you guys think of just in general of the game?
I was gonna say I really liked it. I mean, the gameplay felt really solid. As a fan of Turtles, it was nice to see all the referential characters and everything.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, honestly, I wasn't a fan or anything of the cartoon. I remember liking Shredder and Krang, but not really caring much about the cartoon. But I thought the aesthetic of the game was really good. The different locations were quite varied and interesting, and I had a good time with it. The difficulty I thought was a bit much at times, and I thought it kind of spoiled it. I think it would definitely be a better time if you're playing with another person.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, by the way, Slash. That was the name of the guy.
Yeah, I literally just came across that.
For me, it's probably one of my favourite beat-em-ups of all time. I would have picked it for this episode if you hadn't already picked it. I played it quite a lot in the arcades when I was a kid, and I fell in love with it. If I could have one arcade cabinet, then it would be Turtles in Time.
Fair enough. It is a good game.
Good. I'm glad you all liked it.
How much does it go for?
From what I can tell, it's because it's a popular game. The market is flooded with repros that range from $15 to $40. But
Yeah.
various sources show that a SNES copy of this game, like a legit version, is hard to find under 50.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking here. I'm seeing $20 is the low end, shipping from China, and then the rest of these, $40, $47, $45.
Yeah, and a lot of those lower prices are, some of them advertised as reproductions. If it's like $20 or less, for sure it's a reproduction online anyway.
Yeah.
I know for a fact I can pick this up for about 30 from a guy I know, and that's about as cheap as I'll find a guaranteed original cartridge.
But
Yeah, I
really,
think-
you're probably looking about 40 minimum.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's about what it goes for in my local game shop.
Yeah. You start getting them in like really good, clean conditions, stickers aren't scuffed, and then you're looking at $60.
Yeah.
Easy. So,
Okay, nice one. Yeah, it was a pretty good game. All right then. Well, we'll have a final break, and we'll have a look at my pick. Okay, so my pick is Die Hard Arcade. It was originally released in the arcades in 1996 by AM1, and it got a port to the Saturn in 1997. In Japan, it was known as Dynamite Decker, and it was released in the West as Die Hard Arcade because they thought it looked a lot like the Die Hard film. Now, you star as John McClane in the English version, and you need to save the president's daughter. They're in like a big tower block, and they're trying to break into a bank, from what I remember, in this skyscraper. The plot doesn't really make much sense. There's a bank vault, there's the president's daughter who's kidnapped for some reason, and you just fight your way through to try and save them. And that's about all the plot there is. Basically, it's just an excuse for you to go around beating up loads of stupid enemies.
And it's one of the better ones that I played in the arcades. I mean, between this and the sequel, Dynamite Cop, I dumped a ton of quarters into these games in the arcades. These are the ones I played the most, in general.
Yeah, it's a fantastic game. I can understand it being quite popular in the arcade. For me, it kind of feels like a 3D version of the Streets of Rage series, because you go around, you've got a variety of attacks, and you're beating up really weird enemies.
Yeah.
Like, you end up fighting like a Mexican wrestler at one point, and there's some kind of martial artist who jumps out of a toilet.
You get like the super firefighter.
Yeah, you've got like a firefighter at the end who's like twice the size of you for some reason. It's just a stupid game.
Yeah, a lot of the enemies didn't really make much sense. It's like, why is a fire truck and policemen and all that after you?
Yeah, and if it's supposed to be Die Hard, how come, like, I think it's the second level where these mechanical spiders just burst out of nowhere in the computer room and start fighting you?
Yeah.
You think I remember that from the film?
I didn't get to play the game due to just continual errors with MAME trying to get it to work properly, and I would have emulated a Sega Saturn, but there really aren't any decent Saturn emulators that at least my computer can handle. It's a very difficult console to emulate.
I believe the PlayStation 2 version did get a Japanese release, but it may have only been digital only. I'm not really too sure about the PS2 version.
But from what I could tell from the game, it looks like an absolute riot, and it makes no sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think the game kind of loves the silliness of it, because one of the first things you do is you fight like a couple of rooms of bad guys, and then you're running down a corridor, and there's a quick time event that says punch or kick. And, like, for example, if you hit kick, he does a flying kick, just this guy in the face, and then carries on running like nothing's happened.
And the thing I loved about those was, they did that thing where, whether you miss or hit, it'll do the thing where it shows the scene over and over again 3 times in, like, slow motion.
Yeah.
So you get, like, success, success, success.
And there's, like, one bit as well where you're running past a train, and there's this woman, and she doesn't even look like a bad guy. And you press punch, and you basically just clothesline her. Yeah. And then, as you say, it repeats it a few times in slow motion, just knocking out this woman for no reason.
With her pigtails and pink shirt. Yeah.
It's just ridiculous, but I love it.
Her shirt has like a duck on it.
I don't know, possibly.
It has like a yellow rubber ducky on it.
It won't surprise me. Like, this game is just stupid. Like, one of the early weapons that you get early on is this huge missile launcher, which is, I think it's like an anti-aircraft gun or something, because it's bigger than him, and he's lifting this above his head and firing out these huge rockets.
Yeah,
which you'd think that would be a one-hit kill, but the enemies can just take it in the face and, like, carry on.
And just get up again like nothing's happened, yeah. But it does add a fair bit of charm to it, though.
I like the very end fight, from what I saw, the best, because, again, it just was even more ridiculous than everything before.
Yeah, so, I mean, in case no one's played this before, from the viewers, the listeners, should I say, you end up getting to the main boss, who's sat behind a desk in his suit and tie, and then as soon as he sees you, he just flips forward over the desk and rips off his shirt and starts fighting you. And then later on, he suddenly pulls out these 2 huge swords and fights you on the rooftop.
He's got some kind of backpack on.
Yeah, he has like a quiver full of swords, and I think he's wearing a necktie.
Yeah.
It's just stupid, and I don't remember that happening at the end of Die Hard either, to be honest.
No, I just watched it not that long ago, and I don't recall that.
Yeah.
Maybe my version was a little bit different because I played the Japanese version, and in the one I played, the entire first phase he was in his suit, and then it wasn't until the second phase where you go out on the roof and suddenly he's like half naked with
you're right.
The swords out.
Actually, I don't think he takes off his shirt until the rooftop. So you find him in the office, and he's kicking your ass there, and then it's the rooftop where he pulls out the swords and takes his shirt off.
Yeah.
It's in his office where, like, I think he's got some kind of remote control that opens up the walls and they shoot out at you.
Yeah,
that-
chunks
Right,
of
it's like
walls shoot out
cabinets
at
and
you.
a desk and stuff, and a couch.
Yeah, and there are like a set of golf clubs in the corner which are completely useless because you can't even get to them without him kicking your ass.
Yeah, and then he's doing like Hurricane Ranas and stuff.
That was one of the things I found it. I found it humorous that our hero is pulling off like shoryukens and tatsumakis and things like that. I don't remember Bruce Willis doing that in the movie.
Yeah.
I remember him getting a machine gun and making sure everybody knew it.
Yeah, I mean, it's really weird because the game has quite a few attacks, but I kind of just resorted to a couple of them. I found most of the time I did this, I think it's like a scissor kick or something, where you press, I think it's B and C together and
Yeah.
you'll do like a kick move, which does like a lot of damage.
Oh yeah.
And then if you've got a gun, you can actually arrest a lot of the enemies just by putting them into a grab and pressing B. And that's pretty much like an instant kill for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't matter where their health is. It was looking like if you can get the arrest, they're done.
Yeah, I mean, even like some of the sub-bosses can be taken down like that as well.
Yeah.
Not obviously the big ones, but like the normal-sized ones, like the woman you fight in the fountain. She can be arrested.
Also, why does the fountain explode when you're done?
Yeah. Well, I think that's someone shooting a rocket at you.
Oh, okay. I just noticed. I was just like suddenly the fountain explodes.
It's like press jump.
Yeah. I think it's someone firing a rocket at you because after the fountain bit, don't you fight the football player, the American football player?
It's the wrestler after the fountain, I believe.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Honestly,
I
think
remember
the only
fighting
thing-
some guy in.
I think the only thing they got, accurate to the movie was that he like loses clothing as he goes through the game.
Right.
Yeah. By the way, did anyone ever play this in 2 players, either for the podcast or in the past?
Yes, in the past I've played this 2-player.
Did you ever get to the end?
No, never made it.
Well, I don't know if you've ever played Double Dragon, but the end of the game is pretty much like that. So you beat the main guy, Wolf or whatever his name is, and then the president's daughter wants you to work for her, but she only wants one of you to work for her. So you end up fighting each other until one of you is dead.
Oh, it's
Which
one
is
of those.
Yeah, so it's pretty much like the end of Double Dragon.
Oh,
What's
okay.
Because, that's how we figured out his death matches.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
obviously.
It's not like, you can do it, you can go work for it, it's fine. I'm happy working by myself. It's no, I'm going to kill you just to work for the president's daughter.
It makes a lot of sense. Although,
Yeah.
wasn't it in Double Dragon, at least, it was like a betrayal thing, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was more of a thing for... Yeah, it was a betrayal to get your girlfriend or something.
Yeah. Like,
And I think she loved both of you, so I suppose that made a bit more sense. So who played it on Saturn then?
I did.
Yeah. Did you end up playing the deep scan mode that came with it?
I did, yeah. I played the deep scan mode to get about 20 odd credits, which
Yeah.
I definitely needed. And it is actually quite a fun little mini game.
Yeah, I didn't really get how to do it at first, but once you get used to it, it's a really fun little game.
I saw in the playthrough that I watched them play Deep Scan for about probably a solid 8 minutes. And was that like a previous, like an older arcade game that they just...
Yeah. Deep Scan was actually, I think it came out in the 70s, but it was a Sega arcade game.
Okay.
But yeah, it's pretty neat. So you just control like a little submarine. You avoid these missiles that come up to the surface, and you try and like use these bombs to take out other ships.
Yeah, then torpedo all of the submarines below you, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. I mean, it's a bit of a shame that you have to do that, before you start if you want a chance of finishing the game.
Right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it only takes like 5 minutes to rack up like 20 continues or whatever once you've got the hang of it, so it's not too bad.
I found the one thing I found interesting and also kind of useless was the fact that you can acquire double health bars in the game.
Oh, yeah, because you can get the... the health pickups, and they can extend it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the things I found strange about the game. I was going to bring that up actually. The when the enemies, the bosses have double health bars, there seems to be an amount of health that you have to do to them before the bars start going down, which seems very, very strange.
It's really weird.
It's almost like there's 3 health bars, but they only were able to fit 2.
So it's kind of like going back to Golden Axe, where you're not really sure how many hits are needed, because everyone's got like a standardized health bar, but the boss characters, they take like a lot more damage before you reach that normal health bar.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit weird.
Because you would have thought that it would be percentage based.
Yeah, but it's not.
I also took note during my viewing that guns do arbitrary amounts of damage versus your punch. Like, rockets will sometimes wreck enemies, and then some enemies, it still takes like all 4 of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends on the enemy, because there are some enemies that have a bit more health.
And then there's the Barrett that you can pick up and literally juggle people against the wall.
Yeah. And then you've got like an anti-aircraft gun, or...
Yeah, the anti-aircraft gun where you're like just bouncing them off the wall. Or the anti-tank rifle, there you go.
And the anti-tank, yeah. And then you've got stuff like, there's a pepper shaker at one point.
Yeah.
Which is like from the original Streets of Rage, where you just throw it at them and they just start sneezing for a little bit.
The one benefit I've found to having the guns is if you can get quite a bit of range on the enemies, then they can't really reach you if you're hitting them with the guns.
Right.
Definitely. And as I say, the good thing about the pistol as well, if you've got that, is that as long as you have the pistol, you can do that special arrest move, which you can't do otherwise.
And the other thing about the pistol is you can keep it between scenes if you have ammunition, which is nice.
Yeah, and you can't with other weapons.
And you can I think you can also pick up magazines for the handgun and the machine gun and carry those around.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
I found it weird that even though the levels kind of like transition directly into each other, it just seems like the player character has decided to throw away most of his weapons.
Yeah.
Just for no reason.
He's got the old protagonist syndrome.
That's Mega Man syndrome right there.
Yeah.
You pick up all of your best items, and then the next game he just doesn't keep
throws them all away.
Yeah, it's all gone. All these crazy upgrades, he's just like, nah.
But yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting how the transitions work as well, because you go up to the next floor and you see like a weird overview of the building where it shows you moving up and then it gives you your stats so far. It's quite a nice little touch.
Yeah.
There are a lot of transitions in that game. It felt unlike a traditional brawler where you would move through a stage.
Yeah.
It's more like you're dropped into a room and you just have to clear the room, and then it gives you your little quick time hall run.
The good thing is, though, that even though it's all set in this one location, the areas do have like a lot of variety. Like 1 minute you're in the toilet, next you're on the roof avoiding like these radar dishes, and then you're in a computer room, and
you're in the parking garage fighting firefighters.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, that they did work a lot of variety into those stages and the enemies.
Yeah, definitely. I think overall it's a pretty good game.
Yeah, I really love it.
My only real complaint was the length. It was just so short.
Yeah.
It was such a short game.
But even though it's quite a short game, it's a game that you would replay, because it's such a good time that it's one of those games that you'll bring a friend around, you'll play for a bit and just have a bit of fun with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it may only be like half an hour long, if you're not great at it. But I mean, I've put hours and hours into this game and the next one. So
yeah.
Whenever I get around to building up my Sega collection, which will hopefully be the end of this year, beginning of next year, I'm going to really start expanding my consoles and get some Sega. in my life, I'm going to pick up a Saturn, and I'm going to pick up Die Hard Arcade.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good idea. I mean, price-wise, it goes to about 35 English pounds or so, maybe about 40. But you can get the Japanese version for less than that.
I paid 20 for the Japanese version.
Yeah, I was thinking the Japanese version is about 20, and it's more or less the same. You didn't have any Japanese, you were saying, in it.
No, the manual's in Japanese, but everything in the game is in English. There's no mention of John McClane or anything, though.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they mention John McClane really anyway.
Yeah, it's a Bruno Dillinger, I think, is the name they use, and then he's the one they use for the sequel.
Yeah. But even if you want to pick up the Japanese version just to spend like a little bit less on it, it's still definitely worth, buying for any owner of a Sega Saturn. Or, as I say, it's on PS2 as well. I don't really know whether it's digital, but if you can get it on the PS2, I'd say get it on that. If not, grab the sequel on the Dreamcast or wherever else that was released on.
The sequel, Dynamite Cop, is just arcade and Dreamcast.
Is it? I'm surprised it didn't get PS2 release.
No idea. I guess it didn't do as well. Let me take a look. Yeah, and then according to this, there's a PlayStation Network version of Die Hard Arcade in Japan.
All right.
But that's...
Well, I don't know how that works, whether people without a Japanese console can get access to it.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
If not, you should be picking up a Sega Saturn anyway, because it's a damn good console.
Yeah, it's a fantastic system.
Yeah. Right, so we'll take a quick break, and then we'll discuss which one was our favourite. Right, so we've discussed 4 titles. We had Die Hard Arcade, Golden Axe, Turtles in Time, and Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Which one did you think was the best? Obviously not using your own pick. Which was your favourite?
I'm going to have to say that, and the funny part is I didn't play it, but Die Hard Arcade has to be my favorite. Just because it was so absurd. I've seen games and gone, I would like to play that. But I rarely ever see gameplay and go, oh my god, I need to play this. I'm really mad that I wasn't able to get it working.
Yeah, Die Hard Arcade was definitely my favorite. I mean, and it's also, I played a lot of it, well before this. So, it's always been one of my favorites.
My favorite is probably Turtles in Time, though I will say if Die Hard Arcade had been about twice the length that it currently is, then I would probably choose that. It was just a little bit too short for me.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
For me, I'd choose Die Hard Arcade if it wasn't for it being my own pick. But otherwise, I'd probably go with Golden Axe. I really like Turtles in Time, but for me, I just love the music in Golden Axe. I love, the action of it, and I love basically just everything about the game, apart from the bosses. It's just a classic game, and rightly so.
Yeah, it's still a well-designed game.
It's held up very well.
Right, okay. Well, we have one final thing. I have a quiz in store for you guys. Okay. It's going to be a little bit of a music quiz. What I've done is I've taken some title music from various different games, from pre-8-bit to 32-bit. You're going to listen to a brief clip, and you just need to tell me what game it is. So we'll take a quick break, and then we'll get cracking on that. Okay, so are you guys ready for the quiz?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Just so you know, there are going to be 2 questions that are pre-8-bit, and then we have 6 titles from the 8-bit era, 3 from Nintendo, 3 from Sega. We have 4 from the 16-bit for Nintendo and 4 from Sega, and then we have a handful from each of the post-16-bit consoles.
Okay.
Right. So you're going to listen to a small music clip, and you need to tell me simply what game it's from. Okay, when you're ready, here's number 1. Okay, so we'll start with Matt. Any ideas?
I haven't got a clue. It's very good. I like it a lot, but I haven't got a clue what that is.
Fair enough. What about Ryan? Do you have any ideas?
It sounds vaguely familiar, but I know for a fact I haven't played the game with that music.
Okay. What about you, Stephen?
Nope, not a clue.
Nope. Fair enough. It's quite a famous game. I'm surprised none of you got it. It's Arkanoid.
Ah,
Okay.
It's
Yeah,
a
no,
game that
surprisingly, I
we'll
actually
probably
haven't
cover in
played
the future, I
Arkanoid.
think. Yeah, I think it's one of those games where everyone's experienced it or at least heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
But the music is probably one of those things that is probably something that maybe you've heard, but you're not able to place.
yeah.
Fair enough. Well, I'm sure that you'll have better luck with question 2. So when you're ready, have a listen. Right, Stephen, any idea?
I know I've played the game, and I'm gonna kick myself.
You are going to kick yourself.
It's not Dig Dug, is it?
Nope. Matt, do you have a clue?
It is Horace Goes Skiing.
And Ryan?
Okay, yeah. I knew I recognized that because we just played that
Yeah.
not too long ago.
Did you know the answer before or not?
I knew it was insane. I couldn't remember quite what it was, but I knew it was one of the ZX Spectrum games.
Yeah. Well, we actually all played it relatively recently as well.
Yeah.
And we used the sound clip in our podcast. So I'm surprised that more of you didn't get it.
Yeah, I completely spaced on it.
No worries. Well, question 3, we move into the 8-bit era. The first 3 are Sega titles, so you're going to be thinking about games from the Master System. So when you're ready, listen to question 3. Okay, so we'll start with the Americans because you weren't as familiar with Sega.
Right.
Ryan, any idea?
Not a clue. I never played any Master System games.
Okay, what about you, Stephen?
And unless it's something I found in a compilation later, I don't think I've played any either. It's a quite good music. I like it.
Matt?
It's not one I've played, I'm afraid. I do not recognise that at all.
Really? I'm quite surprised. The game in question is Wonder Boy.
Oh,
Which-
I own it as well.
Yeah. Well, the original Wonder Boy as well, they remade into Adventure Island for the Nintendo, but I think maybe had different music.
No, that is actually okay. See, when it first played, I thought it was Adventure Island, but you said it was Sega.
Well, this one's from the Master System, so maybe they did use the same music for the NES.
Yeah, so if they did port the music over, if they ported the game and reskinned it into Adventure Island,
Yeah,
and
it probably is the
used
same
that
music.
makes sense. That sound. I'll verify that a little bit later and let you know. But yeah, I immediately thought, oh, that's Adventure Island, but it couldn't be because you said Sega.
Well, it's from the Sega version of it, at least.
Right, and I didn't know that there was a different version of it. So now I know the things you
Yeah.
learn.
Now you do.
I think that's probably worth a point, though.
Yeah, so who said that? Was it Ryan?
Yeah,
Let's see.
Adventure Island. I love the game.
Yeah. Right, so we'll go on to question 4 now, which is quite a popular game series, so you'll probably have a chance. Okay, Matt, any ideas?
Not a clue.
Really?
Yeah.
What about you, Stephen?
No, I've not heard this before.
Ryan?
Same. I've never heard that before.
Well, it's actually from a Sega mascot, the very first Sega mascot. Do you know who the first Sega mascot was?
It was Opa Opa from the Fantasy Zone series.
Yep, and that's what game it's from. It's from Fantasy Zone.
That's
Okay.
That's another one I should know because it's another game that I own.
Yeah, but you didn't say it, so you don't get the
Yeah.
point, I'm afraid.
Ah, well.
The final game you should all definitely get because it's such an iconic title. So when you're ready, listen to question 5. Okay, we'll start with you, Stephen. Any ideas?
No, it sounds like something I've heard, but I can't pick it out.
You're going to kick yourself. Ryan, any ideas?
I'm prepping my kicking foot right now, too.
Matt?
That would be Outrun, and it is actually the intro music to the podcast.
Exactly, that's why you should kick yourself.
Oh, yeah.
Right, well, fair enough. Matt's in the lead with 2 points, and Ryan's just behind with 1, and Stephen's yet to get on the board.
Yeah.
But the next 3 are from the Nintendo Entertainment System, so you should have a chance to get some points here. When you're ready, listen to number 6 and see if you can guess what it's from. Matt, we'll start with you.
Bubble Bobble.
Okay. Ryan?
It's Donkey Kong.
And Stephen?
Yeah, it sounds like Donkey Kong Country, but you said this was 8-bit, so now I'm not sure.
Alright, so what is your guess going to be?
I guess just a Donkey Kong game that was on the NES?
It's the original Donkey Kong.
Okay.
Stephen and Ryan, you both get a point.
Wow, I was way off.
Yeah, well, never mind. Well, I suppose it's still sort of a puzzly game, maybe. Right, question 7. We'll start with you, Matt. Any ideas?
Never heard that before in my life.
Oh,
Really?
wow.
Stephen?
That is the original Final Fantasy.
That's
And Ryan?
That is Final Fantasy. I heard about 2 seconds, and I knew
Yeah.
what it was.
Yeah, I have a microphone muted so you couldn't hear my laugh, but yeah.
Yeah, it's the original Final Fantasy. You guys are right again. So now Ryan's taken the lead with 3 points and on a final NES game. This one is a very popular game, although it's a terrible game, but you should all get it, I hope. So when you're ready, question 8. Okay, we'll start with Stephen this time.
I want to say Zelda 2, but I'm not 100% confident in that.
Okay, do you have any other ideas, or are you sticking with Zelda 2?
I'm going to stick with that as my answer.
Okay, Matt?
I was thinking Zelda 2 as well.
And Ryan?
It is definitely Zelda 2.
Yeah, you all get a point. It's Zelda 2.
Which is weird because the game is a garbage pile, but the music is outstanding.
Yeah, I'd completely agree with that. The game is terrible, but the music is pretty damn good.
Yeah, based on the little bit of the game I've played, the music was quite good.
Yeah. Okay, we're moving into the 16-bit era now with the Mega Drive. We have some quite popular games here, so everyone should at least be able to get a point or two from this section. So when you're ready, start with question 9. Okay, Ryan, any ideas?
This is sitting there. I know I've played this game before. My friend Brian, when I was a kid, he had all of the Sega consoles, and I recognize this.
Any idea, any kind of guesses, or?
I don't have a clue. I just know that I've heard it before, and it was
Fair
a
enough.
long time ago.
Okay, Stephen
I've no idea. I don't think I've ever heard this before.
and Matt.
I'm thinking it's one of two things, and I can't decide which one. Either Shining Force or Phantasy Star. I'll go with Shining Force.
Okay, well, it didn't matter which one you picked because you were wrong with both.
Oh.
It's Columns,
Ah.
Sega's answer to Tetris.
Oh, okay.
Right, the next one is a very popular game, but maybe you won't get it from the title screen, but maybe you will. So have a listen to question 10 and see if you can tell me what it is. Okay, Stephen, any ideas?
Not in the slightest.
What about you, Matt?
This is a wild guess, but I'm going to say Desert Strike.
Okay, Ryan?
I don't know, but I'm going to take a shot at least at the genre and say that this is a shmup.
You're actually all very wrong. It's Gunstar Heroes.
Ah, okay.
It's not quite a shmup, it's more of a run and gun, but it's still a classic. The next game, I hope that every single one of you get. So when you're ready, listen to question 11. Okay, Ryan, what do you think?
I do not know. For some reason, the clip was very quiet and hard to hear, but I'm going to blame my overall lack of Sega knowledge and experience on this one.
Okay, Stephen, any ideas?
No. Like I've said, I haven't owned a Sega system until like 2 years ago.
I feel deeply offended that you two haven't got that one. Matt?
Streets of Rage.
Streets of Rage, the original Streets of Rage. Very good.
Yeah, never played it.
Wow,
Same.
you really need to play it. It's a classic beat 'em up. Okay, now we have the final one from the Sega chunk. So when you're ready, listen to question 12. Okay, Matt, any ideas?
I recognise it. It's like right on the tip of my tongue, but no.
Ryan?
I'm going to take a shot in the dark because it does sound familiar. That's not Vector Man, is it?
Okay, Stephen?
I'm stumped with this one because I feel like I've heard a remixed version of this, but I can't place what this is.
It's actually Jungle Strike.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, quite a popular game on the Mega Drive back in the day. And I thought Matt would get it because you actually guessed Desert Strike for one of the other ones.
Yeah, I Jungle Strike is another one that I own as well. I clearly don't play my Mega Drive enough.
You're letting
Clearly
us all
you don't.
down.
Right, the next block is the Super Nintendo block, and at the moment Matt and Ryan are leading with 4 points, but Stephen, you're right behind with 3, so there's plenty of chance to claw it back. The next one, I'm sure every single one of you will get. I am certain. So when you're ready, listen to number 13. Okay, we'll start with you, Matt. What do you think?
I'm going to have to disappoint you here and say I do not know.
Oof. Stephen?
I I don't know. Like, I feel like I recognize it, but I can't. I have no idea.
Ryan?
You're all a bunch of failures. It's the opening to Super Metroid.
That's why I haven't gotten to that one yet.
Oh, you really need to.
Yeah, I think if you two haven't played it, Stephen and Matt, I think we need to add it to the podcast for one of the future episodes.
Oh, it's in there.
Oh yeah,
It's a-
yeah.
It's in there for the NES SNES episode. So
Right. Well, the next one is a little more difficult. All I will tell you is it's for a big Nintendo franchise. So when you're ready, listen to question 14. Okay, Stephen, any ideas?
there are some sounds they use in Mario in there. So I'm gonna just throw Super Mario RPG out and hope.
Okay, Ryan?
It sounds, if it's a title screen theme, I don't know if these are all title screen themes or just iconic themes.
Yeah, the titles are opening themes.
So they're all opening themes?
They're either opening or title themes, so they're at the start of the game.
Well, and that throws my option. It kind of sounded like a sub-area possibly from Yoshi's Island. But if it's only openings, then I know that's not right, and I don't know.
Okay, Matt, any ideas?
Not a clue, I'm afraid.
Okay, well, the music, as you may agree, is fantastic, but it's for a pretty shit game, and that's Mario's Time Machine.
Oh, that's not fair.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, it's one of the shitty Mario games, like Mario Goes Missing and things like that.
Mario-themed edutainment.
Yeah. I thought I'd throw in a more difficult one because the Super Nintendo block is quite easy apart from that one. So the next one might be easy for some of you. It was quite a popular game, but there's a chance maybe you won't get it if you've not played it. So when you're ready, listen to question 15. Matt, any ideas?
I am so frustrated right now because I know that music and I know it well, but I just cannot think of the title.
Any guesses?
Oh god. Super Nintendo?
Yeah.
I've played it. It's one of the games on the SNES Mini, isn't it?
No idea.
No, it's not.
Oh, is it not? No, I couldn't. I couldn't even guess. I know the game. I've played the game, but right now my mind is a blank.
Okay, Ryan, any ideas?
It's Killer Instinct.
Oh, of course it is.
Okay, Stephen?
Yeah, that's Killer Instinct.
Okay, I kind of thought that maybe you'd get that one. Right, the final one you should all be able to get, I hope. So when you're ready, listen to number 16. Okay, Stephen, any ideas?
Very familiar, but I'm not placing it.
Okay, Ryan?
It sounds like like the opening for a Rare game.
Okay. Can you make it more specific?
Well, like literally, it sounds like almost like during the Rare badge icon on a game, but I know it's not Donkey Kong Country because it's that one was a little different.
Okay, Matt?
Again, it's one that I know, but I just can't think of it right now.
It's Star Fox.
Oh, of course it is.
Oh. Well, hey, I was right. It's Rareware.
I thought you'd all get that.
That was when I had Super Nintendo when I was a kid. That was the pack-in game, and I played that so much.
Yeah, I've only
You
played the
should've-
original like once.
Right. The next block is 32-bit and beyond. So we have one game from various different systems. We have the PS2, the Dreamcast, the GameCube, the N64, the Xbox, and of course the glorious Saturn.
Okay.
Okay, so start with question 17 when you're ready. Okay, Ryan, what do you think?
I am not entirely sure. It sounds vaguely familiar, but...
Any guesses?
No, not really.
Okay,
I'm not
Stephen?
even sure what console.
Not a clue.
Matt?
It's very nice, but no.
It's Tomb Raider 2.
That's why I've not played any of them.
I haven't either.
I think I've watched a playthrough once.
Fair enough. I thought maybe more of you would get that, but seemingly not.
I just got my first PlayStation last year, so...
Okay. Well, when you're ready, listen to question 18, see if you have better luck with that one. Matt, any ideas?
I think, I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might be Jet Set Radio.
Okay, Stephen?
I have no idea. It's lively, but I don't know it.
Ryan?
I kind of wanted to say what Matt did, but I can't say for sure. I've only played Jet Set Radio about a year ago. I played a little bit of it. I can't say for sure. Yeah, so I'm not because I'm not sure.
Well, this music has made an appearance in Sega's All-Star Racing Transformed, but it's not Jet Set Radio. It's for Burning Rangers on the Sega Saturn. I'm not surprised you didn't get that one, to be honest. It's a bit of a forgotten IP from Sega, but it is a classic.
Oh, you mean like most of them?
Yeah. Yeah, apart from Sonic.
Somebody call the EMTs.
Right. Anyway, the next one should be a little bit easier because it's on a bit more of a popular system. So when you're ready, listen to question 19. Okay, Matt, what do you think?
It's familiar, but I can't place it.
Stephen?
I have no idea.
Ryan?
I'm going to kick myself when you tell me what this is because I know it. I know exactly what it is, but it's not there. I know what it is, though.
Well, because none of you have a clue, then I'll give you a slight hint. It's a Rareware title. Anyone got an idea?
Nah.
No.
That means if it's a Rareware title, that means it's a 64 title.
Or a GameCube title.
Right, or a GameCube title. But that sounds like an N64 era.
Any ideas?
I'm going to throw out Diddy Kong Racing, but I'm pretty sure that's wrong.
No.
And you are correct. It is wrong. It's
Okay.
Jet Force Gemini.
Okay.
Right, the next one I hope you should all be able to get. It's not a game that I particularly enjoy, but it's quite a famous game. So when you're ready, try question 20. Okay, Matt, any ideas?
No, I'm afraid not.
Okay, Ryan
That is Halo Combat Evolved.
and Stephen?
Yeah, exactly. It's Halo.
Correct, it's Halo for the Xbox. Next we have question 21. Let's see if you have any ideas what that is. Okay, Matt, what do you think?
I think it's one of the Crash Bandicoot games, but I'm not sure which one. I'll say Crash Bandicoot 1.
Okay, Ryan?
That is Pikmin.
Okay, Stephen?
Okay, I recognize the music, and if he says it's Pikmin, it might be because I heard it in Smash Brothers, but I couldn't place it.
So what would your guess be?
I mean, I didn't have a guess before he said anything. Now that he said it, I know where I recognize it from.
Alright, so we'll take your no guess then, since
Yeah,
you gave
no
it
guess.
wrong. Fair enough. It is Pikmin for the GameCube.
Fantastic game.
Yep, indeed it is. Now, the final question, hopefully you should all be able to get right. No pressure. So when you're ready, list to question 22. Okay, Stephen, any ideas?
I'm gonna say Samba de Amigo.
Matt?
Yes, Samba de Omega.
Ryan?
No clue. I've never played this game before, so.
Okay, it's Samba de Amigo. Okay, so tying up the scores, even though he got off to an early lead, in the last place we have Matt with 5 points. In second place we have Stephen with 6 points. And blazing ahead we have Ryan with 8 points. So well done, Ryan.
Nice.
Ah, well done.
And your prize is that in 2 months' time, we're going to do your console exclusive episode. So your favourite console, we're going to choose 4 picks from that one for you. What was your console?
Pick the N64.
In 2 months' time, we'll be doing an N64 special. But the next time, our topic is going to be guilty pleasures. These are games that aren't particularly seen as good games, but we still enjoy them. So hopefully you tune in next time, and it's goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from Matt, Steve, and Ryan.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Take care.